Hey guys, I'm back again and I'm really excited to do this video. And this is my Normandy Book Club's long list for 2024-2025. So school year's coming to an end here very soon in France. And usually we have our last book club meeting in the month of June. So I'm going to present to you I think it's 27, I'm not sure, books that are on this long list. Every year it just gets more and more surprising. So yeah, I'm interested to hear what you guys think we will choose and what you think I will choose, and also what you would choose and what you wouldn't choose, because a whole program there. So I've got my trusty iPad out with all the info, and we're going to get started with our first book is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store by James McBride. Now, I don't need to tell you what this is about. It's been all over the place since it came out. I'll just give you a brief little description. So it says, in 1972, when workers in Pottstown, Pennsylvania were digging the foundations for a new development, the last thing they expected to find was a skeleton at the bottom of a well. Who the skeleton was and how it got there were two of the long-held secrets kept by the residents of Chicken Hill, the dilapidated neighborhood where immigrant Jews and African Americans lived side by side and shared ambitions and sorrows. I have a feeling this is going to have like a lot of different characters and be not as straightforward as that description seems to be. Now, the second one on the list, you all know this one, and I'm not even going to bother to read the description because y'all know what this is about. Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. Now, this hasn't been one that I've really been particularly interested in reading, and I'm really surprised it wound up on the list, but who knows? I don't personally think that they're going to vote for Yellowface, but, you know, we'll see that later. The next book on the list is Go as a River by Shelley Reed. Now, this one, I had never heard of it before, but it says, this was a Goodreads Choice Award, actually, in 2023. It says, on a cool autumn day in 1948, Victoria Nash delivers late-season peaches from her family's farm set amid the wild beauty of Colorado. As she heads into her village, a disheveled stranger stops to ask her the way. How she chooses to answer will unknowingly alter the course of both their young lives. It sounds very mysterious, but I really don't know. It's apparently like a typical book club read, but I've never heard of it. So, yeah. Okay, the next book on the list is this one right here, Gutenberg's Apprentice, and this is by Alex Christie. I really don't know anything about this one. It says an enthralling literary debut that evokes one of the most momentous events in history, the birth of printing in medieval Germany. A story of invention, intrigue, and betrayal, rich in atmosphere and historical detail, told through the lives of the three men who made it possible. This sounds kind of interesting. Wait, let's see. How many pages is this one? Okay, 406 pages. This looks like a very interesting story to read. I feel like something like this could actually get chosen in the book club. That's the kind of thing some of the ladies really like, everything that's around history, kind of thing. So who knows? Okay, the next one on the list is this one right here, and this was also on our list last year, and it didn't get picked either. It's called The Wager, A Tale of Shipwreck, Mutiny, and Murder. I don't think anybody's interested in this one, but the person keeps suggesting it. On January 28, 1742, a ramshackle vessel of patched together wood and cloth washed up on the coast of Brazil. Inside were 30 emaciated men barely alive, and they had an extraordinary tale to tell. They were survivors of His Majesty's ship the Wager, a British vessel that had left England in 1740 on a secret mission during an imperial war with Spain. While the Wager had been chasing a Spanish treasure-filled galleon known as the Prize of All the Oceans, it had wrecked on a desolate island off the coast of Patagonia. The men, after being marooned for months and faced starvation, built the flimsy craft and sailed for more than 100 days, traversing nearly 3,000 miles of storm-racked seas. They were greeted as heroes. So, yeah, there you have it. All right. The next one on the list is The Housemaid. Okay, now, this book is literally everywhere. I see it on all the shelves. I see it all over Instagram, BookTube, everywhere. It's in, little things about, what to read this summer and all that. The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. Okay, so this is, I guess you could say, a thriller mystery. So it says, every day I clean the Winchester's beautiful house top to bottom. I collect their daughter from school and I cook a delicious meal for the whole family before heading up to eat alone in my tiny room on the top floor. I try to ignore how Nina makes a mess just to watch me clean it up. How she tells strange lies about her own daughter, and how her husband Andrew seems more broken every day. But as I look into Andrew's handsome brown eyes, so full of pain, it's hard not to imagine what it would be like to live Nina's life. The walk-in closet, the fancy car, the perfect husband. I only try on one of Nina's pristine white dresses once, just to see what it's like. But she soon finds out, and by the time I realize my attic bedroom door only locks from the outside, it's far too late. The Housemaid. Okay, so yeah, a thriller. All right, now this next one is one of my favorite 5-star books, Perfect Peace by Dr. Daniel Black. Yes, I hope this one gets picked. When the seventh child of the Peace family, named Perfect, turns 8, her mother, Emma Jean, tells her bewildered daughter, "You was born a boy. I made you a girl, but that ain't what you're supposed to be. So from now on, you gonna be a boy. It'll be a little strange at first, but you'll get used to it, and this will be over after a while." From this point forward, his life becomes a bizarre kaleidoscope of events. Meanwhile, the Peace family is forced to question everything they thought they knew about gender, sexuality, unconditional love, and fulfillment. If you have not read this book, what are you waiting for? It's so good. Okay, next on the list, we have this one right here, The Bee Sting. All right, so The Bee Sting, it says, the Barnes family is in trouble. Dickie's once lucrative car business is going under, but rather than face the music, he's spending his days in the woods building an apocalypse-proof bunker with a renegade handyman. His wife, Imelda, is selling off her jewelry on eBay, while their teenage daughter, Cass, formerly top of her class, seems determined to binge drink her way through her final exams. And 12-year-old PJ is putting the final touches to his grand plan to run away from home. Where did it all go wrong? A patch of ice on the tarmac, a casual favor to a charming stranger, a bee caught beneath a bridal veil. Can a single moment of bad luck change the direction of a life? And if the story has already been written, is there still time to find a happy ending? So this one was very popular when it came out in 2023. It's on my TBR. I have not read it yet. And of course, I suggested this one, and I also suggested Perfect Peace. But even if it doesn't get picked, it's still on my TBR. That's not going to change because I really want to read this one. All right, the next one, and this one has been on my TBR as well. It's called One Day by David Nichols. I think this was suggested already once before David Nichols. Actually, this particular title was suggested. So it says 15 July 1988, Emma and Dexter meet for the first time on the night of their graduation. Tomorrow they must go their separate ways. So where will they be on this one day next year? And the year after that? And every year that follows? Okay, so this is one of those kinds of yeah, kind of like a love story. I don't know if I would say it was, yeah, I guess you could say it's full on romance chick lit or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know if you'll pick that one. Okay, the next one on the list is How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackey. Now, I had never heard of this book before. Here again, another fiction thriller crime situation, and that's probably why I didn't know it. It came out in 2021, and it got the British Book Award nominee for fiction for debuts. Okay. It says, I have killed several people, in parentheses, some brutally, others calmly. And yet, I currently languish in jail for a murder I did not commit. When I think about what I actually did, I feel somewhat sad that nobody will ever know about the complex operation that I undertook. Getting away with it is highly preferable, of course, but perhaps when I'm long gone, someone will open an old safe and find this confession. The public would reel. After all, almost nobody else in the world can possibly understand how someone, by the tender age of 28, can have calmly killed 6 members of of her family, and then happily got on with the rest of her life, never to regret a thing. Okay, I mean, this could be really good, or it could just be, yeah, okay. It's not something I personally would vote for, unless under duress, but okay. All right, the next book on our list is A Man Called Ove, and I think this one also has wound up on the list before. This one, it says, a grumpy yet lovable man finds his solitary world turned on its head when a boisterous young family moves in next door. Meet Ove. He's a curmudgeon, the kind of man who points at people he dislikes as if they were burglars caught outside his bedroom window. He has staunch principles, strict routines, and a short fuse. People call him the bitter neighbor from hell. But must Ove be bitter just because he doesn't walk around with a smile plastered to his face all the time? Okay. I think the books like this, we've had quite a few different books that kind of go into this, you know, kind of storyline. So it could get picked or not. I'm not sure. Okay, this one I had not heard of. It's called 50 Words for Rain, and it's by Asha Limi. This came out in 2020. It's historical fiction, Japan, Asia. Okay. So it says, from debut author Asha Limi, a sweeping, heart-rending coming-of-age novel about a young woman's quest for acceptance in post-World War II Japan. Kyoto, Japan, 1948. If a woman knows nothing else, she should know how to be silent. Do not question, do not fight, do not resist. Such is 8-year-old Noriko, or Nori Kamiza's first lesson. She will not question why her mother abandoned her with only these final words. She will not fight her confinement to the attic of her grandparents' imperial estate, and she will not resist the scalding chemical baths she receives daily to lighten her shameful skin. Whoo, child, this one sounds like it could be real good. It has a lot going on. I personally would not mind reading this one. So, yeah, who knows? This one could possibly get picked. I'm not sure. All right. The next book on the list. Okay, now this one. Y'all know I don't do, magical realism and fantasy and stuff like that. It's not really my thing. But anyway, this one is called Wayward, and it's by Emilia Hart. It came out in 2023, last year. It says 2019, Under Cover of Darkness, Kate flees London for ramshackle wayward cottage, inherited from a great aunt she barely remembers. With its tumbling ivy and overgrown garden, the cottage is worlds away from the abusive partner who tormented Kate. But she begins to suspect that her great aunt had a secret, one that lurks in the bones of the cottage, hidden ever since the witch hunts of the 17th century. Okay, so I personally wouldn't vote for this one, but it could possibly get in this one, Wayward. I see people liking this kind of storyline. Okay, now the next book on our list, you all have heard of it, I'm sure, before, which is North Woods by Daniel Mason. This one came out last year, 2023. There's a really good rating on Goodreads. It already has 4 stars, over 4 stars. So it says, a sweeping novel about a single house in the woods of New England, told through the lives of those who inhabit it across centuries. A daring, moving tale of memory and fate from the Pulitzer Prize finalist and author of The Piano Tuner and The Winter Soldier. So it says, when a pair of young lovers abscond from a Puritan colony, little do they know that their humble cabin in the woods will become home to an extraordinary succession of inhabitants. An English soldier destined for glory abandons the battlefields of the New World to devote himself to apples. A pair of spinster twins survive war and famine only to succumb to envy and desire. A crime reporter unearths a mass grave but finds the ancient trees refuse to give up their secrets. A lovelorn painter, a con man, a stalking panther, a lusty beetle. As each one confronts the mysteries of the North Woods, they come to realize that the dark, raucous, beautiful past is very much alive. Yeah, so this sounds like it could be really good as well. It's like I have a feeling it's got like a nature thing to it. It's literary fiction. It could possibly get it. I'm not sure. Okay, the next one, here's another one, is on nature as well. This one, I'm sure you all heard of it. It's The Overstory. This came out in 2018. This was on my TBR. I still haven't read it yet. It says The Overstory is a sweeping, impassioned work of activism and resistance that is also a stunning evocation of an paean to the natural world. From the roots to the crown and back to the seeds, Richard Powers' 12th novel unfolds in concentric rings of interlocking fables that range from antebellum New York to the late 20th century timber wars of the Pacific Northwest and beyond. There is a world alongside ours, vast, slow, interconnected, resourceful, magnificently inventive, and almost invisible to us. This is the story of a handful of people who learn how to see that world and who are drawn up into its unfolding catastrophe. So this is definitely environment and nature literary fiction. It's Richard Powers. So yeah. Okay, this next book, you've all heard this one as well. It's called The Covenant of Water, and it's by Abraham Verghese, who wrote Cutting for Stone. If you don't know Cutting for Stone, fantastic book by him as well. Okay, so this one, it says, spanning the years 1900 to 1977, The Covenant of Water is set in Kerala on India's Malabar coast and follows 3 generations of a family that suffer a peculiar affliction. In every generation, at least one person dies by drowning, and in Kerala, water is everywhere. At the turn of the century, a 12-year-old girl from Kerala's Christian community, grieving the death of her father, is sent by boat to her wedding, where she will meet her 40-year-old husband for the first time. From this unforgettable new beginning, the young girl and the future matriarch, Big Amachi, will witness unthinkable changes over the span of her extraordinary life, full of joy and triumph, as well as hardship and loss, her faith and love, the only constants. Okay, so This sounds sweeping, typical Verges. I can actually see this one being picked, even though the book is 724 pages. I know they don't do so well with long books, but I still think people will want to read this one. Okay, now we have this other book. It's called, which I've never heard of this book before. It's called Penitent by Mark Legat or Mark Legat. I'm not sure. This book, I think it's like a crime novel mystery situation. It says justice can be out with the law. Meet Hector Lawless as a brilliant Edinburgh lawyer. Hector has a reputation for untangling the cases that no other lawyer can handle. But the obsessive compulsive behavior that's made him a master of the law has also left Hector a pariah amongst his peers. A social outcast with crippling anxiety, the man with the perfectly ordered desk, the pristine notebooks, the strictly regimented working day, and rituals that make sense only to him. Okay, so yeah, so this is kind of like, yeah, it's, we're following a lawyer, and I'm sure there's going to be a case. I don't, I personally don't really care because I think we have one too many mysteries, crimes on this list. I'm just not sure which one should go. Let's just put it that way. All right. The next book on the list is Let the Great World Spin, and that's by Cullum McCain. This came out in 2009, so this is a backlist book. It says, in the dawning light of a late summer morning, the people of Lower Manhattan stand hushed, staring up in disbelief at the Twin Towers. It is August 1974, and a mysterious tightrope walker is running, dancing, leaping between the towers, suspended a quarter mile above the ground. In the streets below, a slew of ordinary lives become extraordinary in best-selling novelist Colum McCain's stunningly intricate portrait of a city and its people. Let the Great World Spin is the critically acclaimed author's most ambitious novel yet, a dazzlingly rich vision of the pain, loveliness, mystery, and promise of New York City in the 1970s. Okay, now this one could be really, really interesting because there are so many books that are set in New York, but they don't all really pay full homage to New York. So I would be interested to read this one to see what it's like. Okay, the next book I had never heard of before either, and it's called The Three Body Problem. I'm not sure if this has actually been a Netflix is a Netflix adaptation, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, here we go. It's by Lu Shijing. It's translated by Ken Liu. It says, set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution, a secret military project sends signals into space to establish contact with aliens. An alien civilization on the brink of destruction captures the signals and plans to invade Earth. Meanwhile, on Earth, different camps start forming, planning to either welcome the superior beings and help them take over a world seen as corrupt or to fight against the invasion. Okay. I mean, it's kind of like science fiction fantasy. Not really the kind of thing I want to read. I wouldn't mind watching it though. So there we have it, The Three Body Problem. The next book we have on the list is A Girl Returned, and this is by Donatella Di Pietrantonio. This came out in 2017. It's very short, only 167 pages. It says, a pitch perfect rendering in English by Anne Goldstein, Elena Ferrante's translator. So it says, I was the Armenuta, the girl returned. I spoke another language. I no longer knew who I belonged to. The word mama stuck in my throat like a toad. And nowadays, I really have no idea what kind of place mother is. It is not mine in the way one might have good health, a safe place, certainty. Told with an intimacy and a rare expressive intensity that has earned it countless adoring readers and one of Italy's most prestigious literary prizes. A Girl Returned marks the English language debut of an extraordinary literary talent set against the stark, beautiful landscape of Abruzzo in central Italy. This is a compelling story about mothers and daughters, about responsibility, siblings, and caregiving. I'm all in. I hope this gets picked, but I have a feeling it won't. But I'm gonna read it. I want to read it. The next book on our list is The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. I've not read anything by Amor Towles, so yeah, I think this could be interesting to see who would be interested in reading this one. This one came out in 2021. It says in June 1954, 18-year-old Emmett Watson is driven home to Nebraska by the warden of the work farm where he just served a year for voluntary manslaughter. His mother long gone, his father recently deceased, and the family farm foreclosed upon by the bank. Emmett's intention is to pick up his 8-year-old brother and head west where they can start their lives anew. But when the warden drives away, Emmett discovers that two friends from the work farm have hidden themselves in the trunk of the warden's car. Together, they have hatched an altogether different plan for Emmett's future. Spanning just 10 days and told from multiple points of view, Towles' third novel will satisfy fans of his multi-layered literary styling while providing them an array of new and richly imagined settings, characters, and themes. It sounds like something that could be really interesting and great to talk about in a book club. The next book is A God in Ruins, and this is a series called the Todd Family series. And sadly, A God in Ruins is book 2. I don't know why this person decided to suggest book 2 when there is a book 1. But anyway, what is about? This is what it's about. So it says, in Life After Life, which is book 1, Ursula Todd lived through the turbulent events of the last century again and again. In A God in Ruins, Atkinson turns her focus on Ursula's beloved younger brother, Teddy, would-be poet, RAF bomber pilot, husband, and father as he navigates the perils and progress of the 20th century. For all Teddy endures in battle, his greatest challenge will be to face living in a future he never expected to have. So this is Kate Atkinson, and this series is fairly well known because Life After Life got a lot of press. Not really, doesn't seem like my cup of tea, but who knows? I don't know. I guess if I had to read it, I wouldn't be too mad, but okay. All right, now we have the next book is Our Missing Hearts by Celeste Ying. This book came out in 2022. It's classified under fiction dystopia, so I'm not so sure if this is going to be my cup of tea. It says 12-year-old Bird Gardner lives a quiet existence with his loving but broken father, a former linguist who now shelves books in a university library. Bird knows to not ask too many questions, stand out too much, or stray too far. For a decade, their lives have been governed by laws written to preserve American culture. In the wake of years of economic instability and violence, to keep the peace and restore prosperity, the authorities are now allowed to relocate children of dissidents, especially those of Asian origin, and libraries have been forced to remove books seen as unpatriotic, including the work of Bird's mother, Margaret, a Chinese American poet who left the family when he was 9 years old. This sounds like it could be very good. I don't know if it'll be picked though. I don't think they'll pick it. Okay, the next book is, and it, because it was all over the place and it was turned into a film, is Killers of the Flower Moon, The Osage Murders, and the Birth of the FBI. Okay, so this one, it says in the 1920s, the richest people per capita in the world were members of the Osage Nation in Oklahoma. After oil was discovered beneath their land, the Osage rode in chauffeured automobiles, built mansions, and sent their children to study in Europe. Then, one by one, the Osage began to be killed off. The family of an Osage woman, Molly Burkhart, became a prime target. One of her relatives was shot. Another was poisoned, and this was just the beginning. As more and more Osage were dying under mysterious circumstances, and many of those who dared to investigate the killings were themselves murdered. Okay, so, this is nonfiction, true story. Go on to read it? Not really, but that's just me. Me and nonfiction is special. All right, and the next book on the list is this one right here called The Second Sight of Zachary Cloudsley. Okay, I have never heard of this book before. It's by a writer called Sean Lusk. And this came out in 2022. Never heard of it. But it's under fantasy, steampunk, magical realism. Yeah, so it's not really my thing, but this is what it's about. It says, Zachary Cloudsley is gifted in a remarkable way, but not all gifts are a blessing. Leadenhall Street, London, 1754. Raised amongst the cogs and springs of his father's workshop, Zachary Cloudsley has grown up surrounded by strange and enchanting clockwork automata. He is a happy child, beloved by his father Abel and the workmen who help bring his father's creations to life. He is also the bearer of an extraordinary gift. At the touch of a hand, Zachary can see into the hearts and minds of the people he meets. Nah, that's not my cup of tea, and I don't think it's going to get picked, but that's just me. Last but not least on the list is Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Jossi. And this came out in 2020 during the pandemic. This is Ya Jossi's sophomore novel. It says, Gifty is a fifth-year candidate in neuroscience at Stanford School of Medicine, studying reward-seeking behavior in mice and the neutral circuits of depression and addiction. Her brother Nana was a gifted high school athlete who died of a heroin overdose after a knee injury left him hooked on Oxycontin. Her suicidal mother is living in her bed. Gifty is determined to discover the scientific basis for the suffering she sees all around her. So yeah, I remember this got kind of mixed reviews. Some people really thought it was excellent. Other people just thought it was okay. So I don't know. It could possibly get picked. It's an interesting topic. It's very different and far away from her first novel, but why not? So that's it. Those are all of the books. Comment below, and like I said, let me know what you think about this list. I find it a little overwhelming, frankly speaking. It's a little overwhelming. And I think there are too many crime detective mystery novels in there. So that's it. I'm going to let you go and think about this list along with me. And I'm interested to hear what you have to say. And I will be back with another video very soon. Bye-bye.